2,000. That is a number of people who got lost in a US national park, never to be seen again. How can 2,000 people simply vanish into thin air? Why do people keep getting lost and disappearing in national parks? From being eaten by bears and evil spirits called Wendigos to a mysterious trail of berries and magically changing trails, the theories are infinite, but the proof is zero. From Yosemite to the Grand Canyon, national parks are some of America's finest crown jewels, but they hold a dark, dark secret. Let's explore some of these mysterious, eerie disappearances and some of the wildest possibilities that may explain them. The United States National Park System covers more than 84 million acres of preserved forests, deserts, mountains, and other wilderness. So it is maybe not a surprise that in the past 100 years, many hikers have gone missing. Most who vanished into thin air were inexperienced hikers or young children, but the most surprising disappearances have got to be those of healthy, seasoned, outdoor-loving people. David Paulides, the author of Missing 411 and a former police officer at Yosemite National Park, estimated that over 1,600 people have gone missing in these parks ever since the National Park Service was set up in 1916. Let's talk about some of the most fascinating cases to date. The year was 1928, and a young couple in love, Bessie and Glenn Hyde, were honeymooning at the Grand Canyon in northern Arizona. They were traveling down the Colorado River by SCO and planned to boat through the Grand Canyon. Sounds like the perfect honeymoon until they vanished without a trace. Glenn had experienced boating through tough rivers before, but Bessie was a newbie. Just a few weeks before their disappearance, other boaters spotted the happy couple placing a wager on completing the trip. Many months later, as winter fell upon the Grand Canyon, the Hyde's boat was discovered, seemingly undisturbed. In fact, the boat was upright and full of supplies, only the couple had disappeared. Did they disembark and try a hike that was beyond their means? Were they abducted by aliens or another supernatural force? Nobody knows. There might have been more than one sighting of Bessie over the years that followed, though. In the Green Mountain National Forest, there's an area called the Glastonbury Mountain and Vermont's Long Trail that paranormalists call the Bennington Triangle. Named after the infamous Bermuda Triangle, the area got its name all thanks to a handful of mysterious disappearances that took place between 1945 to 1950. But, according to the paranormal author Joseph A. Citru, there were many more vanishings that were swept under the rug due to the supernatural connections. In 1946, 18-year-old Paula Weldon became the second person to go missing at the Bennington Triangle. She set out for the long trail one day, telling her roommate that she was taking a long walk. But the walk seemed too long, for Paula never returned. Students, police, family, and friends all joined hands in a massive search party, but it didn't pay off and Paula was lost forever. Since her body wasn't recovered either, there is a rumor that she was abducted by a Sasquatch-like creature that calls the Long Trail home, the Bennington Monster. This isn't the only paranormal, mystic creature that has been blamed for the national park disappearances. Another line of thought is that the missing people were taken by an evil spirit from Algonquin folklore called the Wendigo, a being that terrorizes forests and woods. Creepy. Other practical explanations for Paula's disappearance include that she ran away with a boyfriend, was abducted, or committed suicide. Larry Jeffrey, a 6-year-old boy, was playing with his brothers in the Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest in the year 1966. Lost in play, he wandered away from the group near the peak of the 12,000-foot Mount Charleston, a short drive away from Las Vegas. The search began as soon as the boy disappeared. Within days, the National Guard and team of trained bloodhounds had joined the search. In a TV interview, David Paulides, who has been studying these mysterious disappearances, stated that there were no known predators afoot that day. He added that abduction by car could be ruled out as well since the area was pretty secluded. Jeffrey was wearing a light layer of clothing and authorities were doubtful whether the young boy would be able to survive the cold night. The search party found evidence that Jeffrey had been eating foraged berries and insects along the way, but despite the efforts of 1,000 people who searched for 16 days, the boy was never found. While we're on the topic of berries, here's something that will make your hair stand on end. Paulides, the same guy who has been studying the disappearances, found several clusters or patterns in common. While some clusters, like people disappearing around water bodies, can be explained by accidental drowning, some are just plain weird. One such bizarre cluster is the number of people who have gone missing around berry bushes. Paulides claims that there is an astonishing number of people who disappeared and were found in the middle of berry bushes or went missing while picking berries or were found foraging and eating berries. If these incidents didn't send a chill down your spine, the next one surely will. In 1971, Douglas Legge and some family members were heading towards the Adirondack Forest Preserve Santinini Preserve. Along the way, Douglas's uncle spotted some poison ivy and asked his nephew to put on some long pants to protect himself. Douglas went on his way to the family cabin, which was a short, straight walk from where the rest of the family was, but the 8-year-old boy never returned. What's all the more astonishing about this disappearance was that unlike a lot of kids who went missing in national parks, Douglas knew the woods like the back of his hand. His family described Legge as a mini woodsman and they all hiked together quite often. The little boy's disappearance sparked one of the largest search and rescue missions in southern Adirondacks, but Douglas had apparently left no trail behind. Rescuers also used trained dogs in the search. Here's where things got even more mysterious. Some accounts from the rescue mission described that dogs followed Douglas's scent over a 30-mile trail through some difficult terrain. The question here is, how could a young child have traveled alone for so long? Some searchers also described seeing bear-like tracks near the site where Douglas disappeared. While it is no secret that black bears drag their prey to cover, dragging a boy 30 miles over rough terrain seems highly unlikely. In a moment of desperation, the family began suspecting each other and even friends of abducting their son. The police, on the other hand, were certain that Douglas had gotten lost and never to be found again. What do you do if the search and rescue mission disappears? Well, the Olympic National Park in northern Washington state has a feature that's not as mesmerizing as its mountain views. 4 hikers have disappeared from the area in the last 25 years, including 73-year-old John Devine, who went there on a hike in 1997. Devine planned to hike into the park from Mount Baldy, which is a tough 24-mile trek. Though he was quite aged, he was a highly experienced long-distance hiker. He was camping with his friend Greg Balzer, and the pair split up on the very day Devine disappeared. The fruitless search lasted a whole week till something horrific happened. A rescue helicopter crashed into the rocks and killed 3 searchers while injuring 5 others. By this time, the weather conditions in the region had deteriorated and the chances of finding Devine were reduced to a very slim chance. The search was eventually called off. In this case, the search helicopter's crash is just as mysterious as Devine's disappearance. Before the chopper took off, the pilot used a hand signal that indicated that he would wait for 5 minutes for conditions to improve before attempting the takeoff. Mere seconds later, the helicopter rose vertically without any warning and crashed into the side of the mountain. Bone-tingling. Cut to 2021. It's not like forest disappearances have lessened due to increased safety and security measures or better trained search and rescue personnel. If anything, some disappearances have crossed the threshold of strange. Gabby Petito's disappearance made international headlines when her boyfriend Brian Laundrie returned home from their fun road trip all alone. The influencer couple, who regularly posted snippets from their travels on social media, had an ambitious schedule ahead of them with coast-to-coast national park visits. However, others including the police noted several fights between the two along their road trip. Laundrie arrived home on September 1st without his girlfriend and refused to speak to anyone. Petito's family reported her missing on 11 September, and 8 days later her remains were found at Bridger-Teton National Forest in Wyoming. The cause of death appeared to be strangulation. Laundrie disappeared on 17 September, and a month later, on 20th October, his skeletal remains were found inside the Carlton Reserve, Florida. It's not yet clear how he died. While it is possible Laundrie may have killed Petito and then killed himself out of guilt, it doesn't explain how his body decomposed so fast. Some people even believe it is all a cover-up and Laundrie is still alive. There are 2 approaches to explain these mysterious disappearances: supernatural and earthly. Some disappearances are a result of tragic mistakes, while others have been attributed to urban legends. What's your take? Do you have any theories on why or how these people disappeared? Comment down below. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the Why Factory so that you don't miss our answers on the next Why on Your Mind. Thank you for watching and goodbye.